Step into a world of romance and mystery with Tamora Rose. Today we're reading chapter 24 of Child of the Wind. The fire blazed brightly, providing the only light in the darkened chamber. Because she'd never been in here before, and she was curious, Kanace took the time to light every candle in the room. This new light revealed a spacious and opulent chamber. The bed linens, curtains, and even the upholstered chairs were all done in varying shades of black and gold. It was a very masculine chamber, fully suited to the man she had married, and not at all suited to his new bride. But since it was unlikely they would be here for more than a single night, she supposed it didn't matter much. Hopefully their chamber at Barsland would suit them both. As she wandered around the room, letting her hand trail over the luxurious fabrics and warm woods, she tried to keep her mind off the night to come. Tonight their flirtation and illicit loving would come to an end. She would be his in truth, his wife in every way. Though she had wanted this. Now that the night was here, she wished she could delay it a few more days. Since it was too late for that now, Kanace took a deep breath and resigned herself to her fate. Her new husband would be with her shortly, and she was far from ready for him. She found herself wondering if she should disrobe or remain fully clothed. Did it matter? Maybe not. But the maidservants had tied her into a corset. Corsets were to be despised, not worn on her own wedding day, so the thing had to come off. But first she had to remove her gown. That alone might be a feat beyond her abilities. Exasperated, Kanace studied the fastenings of her gown in near desperation. Instead of the traditional lacing, there was a very tiny row of buttons extending down her back. They were so small even a maidservant might have had difficulty. Still, she tackled them anyway, determined to be free of her prison before Jet returned. She had only managed 2 buttons when the door eased open and her new husband slipped inside. He came to an immediate halt, a grin spreading across his face as he watched his young bride struggle with her own clothing. Though he managed to keep himself from laughing, his amusement was plain on his face. A maidservant would have helped you, he pointed out as he moved toward her. Or you could simply have waited for me. She gave him a miserable look. I'm wearing a corset. She said those words with such melancholy he couldn't help but laugh. It's not funny, she insisted. Jet controlled his laughter with difficulty. I know. Turn around. Desperate to be free, Kanace did as she was told and presented her back to him. His hands immediately touched her back, but didn't unfasten her. Instead, he let his fingers drift upwards to caress the soft skin of her neck. Though at first she leaned into his touch, it wasn't long before she was squirming from something more than passion. Jet, please, she begged. It's too tight. Her voice held a note of urgency, so Jet kissed the back of her neck and began unfastening her gown with all haste. The buttons were small and tight, drawing out the entire process, but the silk bridal gown eventually slipped to the floor with a quiet hiss. Once the gown was removed, Jet could see the corset that was causing her such distress. It was laced up the back and laced tightly, so it was unlikely she would be able to remove it herself. His fingers worked at the laces until the corset came free in his hands. As soon as she was released, Kanace let out a deep sigh and massaged her abused ribs. She hated corsets. Why did you let them do that to you? Jet asked as he tossed aside the offending garment. She shot him a pathetic look. I didn't notice. He raised an eyebrow and she scowled. Don't look at me like that. I was distraught. Over our marriage. I would have liked a little more time, she confessed. But it doesn't matter now. Instead of responding, Jet dropped a kiss on her shoulders and scooped her up into his arms. She let out a startled squeal and wrapped her arms around his neck. She expected him to take her to the bed, and so was surprised when he deposited her in a plush chair near the fire. The hours that followed belonged only to them. Much later, Jet drew her into the bed and held her close beneath the covers. Eventually, he rolled onto his back, taking her with him so she now rested atop him. Kanace gazed up at him, her eyes still burning with their shared passion. Their joined bodies were hot and sweaty, but there was a chill in the air and she shivered. Jet felt it. Cold? He asked, voice dripping with a strange mixture of passion and concern. Kanace shook her head. Pretty little liar. He dropped a kiss on her head and drew the covers over them both. He shifted her so that she was lying more beside him than on top of him, and nuzzled her hair. Get some sleep. She was tired, so she nuzzled closer, closed her eyes, and fell asleep surrounded by the heady scent of their spent passion. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this chapter, stay tuned for more tales of romance. Until we meet again, may your days be filled with passion and just a touch of magic.